This is the limitless Keith Lee.
This is Brody King.
This is Angel Garza.
Will Ospreay.
Hornswoggle.
Pentagon Junior.
The Mexican Rey Fenix.
King Ricochet.
Concrete Rose, Sunny Kiss.
And I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open.
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 Boston Wide Open.
Busted Wide Open. Thank you.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome everybody to BWO Live, coming to you from across the Busted Wide Open universe of Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. This is episode number 339 of Busted Wide Open. My name is Nick Howell.
And I gotta say, one day I'm hoping to be as much of a man as a man named Jungle Boy, grabbing him a handful of Anna J. My goodness, Nick, you must be jelly. Welcome to the show, everybody. That's right. First Juice Robinson, now Jungle Boy. Boy, something about these J names, Nick. You got to watch out for them. They're snaking your ladies.
Where's Jay and Tony Storm though?
I don't know. You tell us. You tell
you're
us, man.
referring to
Welcome to the
Juice.
show, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm referring to
That guy.
Juice. Anyway, we have a show to do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Busted Wide Open. We're here to talk about wrestling. Actual professional
No,
wrestling.
this is my kayfabe relationships with professional wrestlers.
Oh, God, it's so scary and creepy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw, which went on the air last night, and they actually managed to take Monday Night Raw and some not so good premises and make a pretty damn decent show.
I enjoyed the shit out of Raw last night. I'm not going to lie.
Raw was very watchable last night, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Raw was pretty damn good last night. We also, of course, have to dial it back to Saturday. Thankfully, the last time AEW is going off of its Wednesday night shift, we have to talk about AEW Dynamite, which went down last Saturday. A very excellent main event with Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy, as well as lots of other developments over there in Jacksonville. But Nick, we have a lot to discuss, plus the mailbag episode coming up live right after this show. But first, let's do a little lip smack business, and then we'll get on with the show.
Yes, guys, linktree.com/BWO. It's all the links to all the things. Head over there, click them all, follow them all, subscribe to them all, do all the things that you guys do to share Busted Wide Open with all of your friends and family. Let everybody know that Busted Wide Open is where you want to be every Tuesday night, every Friday night, immediately after SmackDown. Come join us. Hang out in the chat with all the other phenomenal ones. Come hang out with us in the Busted Wide Open discussion group. Come hang out with us in our Discord community. Hit !Discord if you need a link in the chat. But yeah, it's a good time. We have live chats all throughout the week. There's other stuff going on and just chatting all throughout with news and all kinds of fun memes, all kinds of good stuff. So get into Facebook, get into Discord, and make sure you're here on Tuesdays and Friday nights with Busted Wide Open. Myself and Sir Ian Dangerous, thank you guys very much for all the support. Big shout out to all the patrons, the namesake of the mailbag episode we'll be doing later after the show tonight. Thank you guys very much. As you can tell, I got a little pep in my step and a pop in my voice, and I'm feeling good. It's finally gone.
At least one
it's
of us
finally
has.
gone. I'm exhausted.
Yay.
Don't get me wrong. I'm wiped the F out. But it's good not to have every 5 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
It feels so my lungs are clear and it feels so good.
These lungs are clear.
But Ian, that's enough goofing around. We got a lot of graphs to talk about, so let's head over and kick things off with Monday Night Raw.
Well, Nick has metal in his lungs, and Matt Riddle has iron in his veins because apparently the guy with venom in his veins, Randy Orton, was not there to compete in the match. He was supposed to have a triple threat match with AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre. The winner was going to have their second chance to go to the Money in the Bank briefcase ladder match at Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But because Randy, for some reason, didn't show up, and we have yet to actually determine, I've been researching this all day and trying to figure out if this was kayfabe or legit, why Randy Orton was not there at the tapings. whatever the reason, he wasn't there. So the show opened with a battle royale, over-the-top battle royale. We start the show seeing the whole Goon Squad in the ring, cut to backstage. Sonya Deville, Adam Pearce saying, "Welcome to Raw. We're going to have a battle royale because Randy isn't here." Matt Riddle comes rolling up to them and says, "Hey, wait, man. Randy told me to give you this." And he gives them a very neatly folded little piece of paper.
Oh, it was folded up like the little paper football like you do in high school. Yeah.
Right. And then they read it. It was very obviously written by Matt Riddle in what looked to be either green marker or crayon. Either way,
it looked
brilliant.
like the big green markers. We sniff them and it gets you give you a little.
Gives them a little woo. Oh. Ooh. Yes. The first step along a long path of doing illicit substances. They get you when you're young. But it was written and it said essentially in Matt Riddleese, "Yo, bro, aloha. You should let Matt Riddle in the match as me. I'm Randy Orton, and you should let Riddle in as me, Randy Orton. Bye. I'm the Viper. Aloha." And Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce quickly called him out and said, "Look, Riddle, we know this is you. But the idea of you essentially going in there as Randy Orton is intriguing. So sure, why the hell not? Go down there, have yourself a time, kid." And Riddle goes, woohoo, scoots out to the ring and gets in the ring with everybody else. Everybody else, of course, in the ring being Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Humberto Carrillo, Drew Gulak, Akira Tozawa, R-Truth, Jeff Hardy, Damian Priest, Mustafa Ali, Mansoor, the Viking Raiders, Angel Garza,
who cowered at one of Riddle's flops that came bouncing near him, which I didn't think was a good look for Angel Garza.
There was a lot of not good looks in this match. Like, there are some guys who were in this match for story purposes. Jeff Hardy and Cedric Alexander continued their feud with Cedric tossing Jeff late in the match, laughing at him, and then getting tossed by Priest, and then Jeff laughing at him back. The Viking Raiders got eliminated by Omos, who avenged AJ Styles from last week by coming out and pulling both of them out of the ring at the same time. We had a little bit of 24/7 shenaniganry once all three of the major players, R-Truth, Akira Tozawa, and Drew Gulak were eliminated. They had a little bit of shenanigans outside where the title traded back and forth, ended up back on Tozawa by the end of the whole thing, so it's a wash. No one cares. Mansoor almost got eliminated, but it got pulled back in by Ali, who said, "See, I'm the only person you could trust," before eliminating him and saying, "By the way, trust no one." Okay. And Garza had a little bit of pseudo Kofi moment where he got eliminated but was only on one foot so he could get back in, but then was immediately eliminated onto both feet. Okay. And Shelton was barely in the damn thing. And Humberto, they didn't even show him get eliminated.
I missed half the match because we were outside changing the 24/7 championship 3 times.
Right. Yeah. So this match was a fun way to start Raw, a unique way to start Raw, especially with the setup of the match with Riddle going in. You knew immediately Riddle's going to be one of the final ones, if not the final one. It ended up being him and Damian Priest. As it should be, if you're going to goddamn well put Priest in this match, you better have him have a good showing. And frankly, having him be eliminated by Riddle on paper could have been very bad, a bad look for him. But the theme of this Raw is taking a shit salad and making it into a nice chicken chinois. It was a chicken chinois salad. Look it up. It's delicious.
Google.com.
The bottom line is that Matt Riddle eliminated Damian Priest after a fantastic sequence, which kept Priest looking really strong. It looked very competitive. It looked like Priest would have won the damn thing if Riddle hadn't come out. And later on in the show, we have Matt Riddle backstage pretending he's Randy Orton because he has to get psyched up to be in the main event. And it's a little weird and creepy. And Damian Priest, who's his real life friend and also is now apparently his friend in kayfabe, comes up and is like, "I'm a bit confused by your weird multiple personality thing, but hey man, just so you know, Randy should be proud of being in a team with you, not the other way around. I'm your bro," which was a nice little moment.
Good little hat tip.
It was a nice hat tip, dude. And it was a bit of humanity that we don't see often enough on these WWE shows. It felt like a real relationship. In the midst of all this goonie of Matt Riddle being goony and over the top in WWE, and Priest just stopped it and was being real with him. It was like, dude, honestly, you're getting a little weird about this whole thing, but you're my bro, and I want you to go out there and kick ass, and Randy should be proud of you. It was a beautiful little moment.
I thought there was a whole goof thing where he was trying to get Priest to lock his mouth and put the key in his hand after talking about cheeseburgers and
Yeah. And Priest was like, I'm not playing the game. And Randy was like, oh, come on. Riddle was like,
He even
oh,
got you
Randy always
mixed
plays
up.
the game with me. Yeah, he's so confusing. I couldn't tell the difference. But before we talk about that main event, what did you think of this as a way to get Randy out of the picture and get Riddle into it? If, like, let's assume Randy was written off by creative. Was it the right decision?
yes. Given
Because
who's in the ring and that you were going to come down to Priest and Riddle, I think it takes a little bit of the new car shine off of Riddle when you put an old legend with him. It's worked so far. It's been valuable for Riddle with RK Bro and everything, but I think I think it was the right call. Had Randy been in this, it would have been a little muddy, frankly.
But here's the thing. I don't think Randy would have been in this battle royale. I think he would have just been in the triple threat.
Yeah, sure.
And that would have been less interesting than the match we got, which was, frankly, one of the best Raw matches we've seen in months. It was a straight-up barn burner. These guys went out there and kicked
You're talking about the triple threat, not the battle royal.
AJ. No, the battle royal was fine.
Yeah.
It was battle royal. But I'm talking about AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre versus Matt Riddle. That match kicked ass. It kicked 7 sorts of ass. Even with the screwy finish, like I thought that I kind of dug the screwy finish. I dug the fact that, after this match where they went to absolute war, Drew got put through a table by both AJ and Riddle and was outside for a long time. So you had AJ Styles and Riddle going in there and kicking 7 sorts of ass with each other and being amazingly cohesive. Riddle ends up kicking one of the stairs and quote unquote breaks his foot or injures his foot. He goes out for about 5 minutes. AJ Styles and Drew have another great match. Riddle comes back down, almost gets AJ, has AJ dead to rights, and with an RKO. And actually, before he even gets him with that, AJ Styles countered an RKO into a fireman's carry, almost a burning hammer. Like it was more like a smoldering hammer. But it was awesome. But ultimately, he takes an RKO. Looks like he's going to be out, and Omos pulls him from the ring. Riddle's shook, stands up, turns around into a Claymore 1, 2, 3. I thought that finish was fine. But the thing is, we have to talk about Drew McIntyre going on to Money in the Bank. What do you think about him being in that match?
I'm scared.
And being likely to win the whole
scared.
thing? It feels a little bit Cena-esque, redundant. On the nose? A little bit on the nose. Yeah. It's unfortunate. And Drew has been treading close to that edge of being a bit dull, boring, repetitive.
All those things.
Typical top guy in WWE, and it's not something I thought we'd ever say about Drew McIntyre. At least they kind of had a subversive speech this week where he started to do the whole, it reminds me of a tale I once was told about a time in Edinburgh. They were having a battle. And he was going off on the historical
the whole
stuff
backstage
again.
thing, I was just like, oh, God. Like, I'm at a point where I'm eye-rolling Drew McIntyre, and that's not a good look.
But they were trying to subvert that by have him start to tell the story, and then it goes wildly off the rails, and he ends up by saying, wasn't that ridiculous? That's because this whole thing is ridiculous. I should be in Money in the Bank. I'm going to go kick some ass and get in the match. I've understood where they were trying to go with it. It was a little muddled. It didn't quite hit. I felt like Drew rushed it, but I understand what they were trying to do. They were realizing Drew's getting into a rut with those historical speeches and all that, and they were trying to break it. I just don't feel they accomplished that. It was too close to the ones before.
And frankly, with the matchups and everything that we had, I would have rather seen a screwy finish where Riddle ends up winning.
Well, Riddle's already in the match. That'll put Randy Orton in the Money in the Bank ladder
point.
match.
That I didn't consider.
So, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if they do that or if Riddle's foot is actually hurt and Randy takes his place
or Randy gets revenge or something, whatever it is.
Because this is all effectively a face turn. I guess you could go back to the Fiend stuff. This is all effectively a face turn for Randy too.
Is it? Because he's still very much Randy Orton. He's still an asshole.
He is, but he's chumming up with Matt Riddle, and it feels kind of facey.
Yeah, no, you got a point. But the interesting aspect here also is Matt Riddle got screwed by AJ Styles. Matt Riddle and Randy Orton are a tag team. AJ Styles and Omos are the tag champions. So they could be setting up for something there down the road. And if that's the case, whether it's accidental or not, they created some grist for the mill right there.
Use it.
Good stuff. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing with the whole Riddle thinks he's literally Randy Orton thing. That's a little odd.
Getting out of the ring and saying, play his music,
And then playing it and him doing the pose, and then the pyro spooks him. I don't know what the single white female thing is that he's doing there, but I'm still intrigued. And that's the bottom line, is what you want to be. Right now, Riddle's the best thing on Raw. RK Bro is the best thing on Raw.
It's given me something to invest in, giving me something to sink my teeth into and enjoy and eat my popcorn. Yeah. It's popcorn fodder.
The only thing that might be close is Kofi Kingston, which we'll talk about in a second. That got real hot this week. But there has to be more of that to get to where I think Riddle's at. Riddle carried most of this show.
True.
Right. His through line was the story of the show, and it was an engaging one. And it says something when he's more engaging than Drew McIntyre, who's the guy who we all assume Vince is trying to give a trajectory back towards the championship, and Kofi Kingston, who's the guy who's currently challenging for the championship. So that says something.
I like where everything. Listen, we've been down on Raw for what feels like 2 months now, or maybe all the way back to WrestleMania Backlash. It even hurts saying that out loud. But last night, I don't have a lot of critiques about last night. Last night was it was fantastic. It
was pretty solid. There's gonna be a couple.
Okay.
There's gonna be a couple later.
Maybe I was just so entertained. I just glossed over the ones that you think were that way, but
which is a success.
I was start to finish. I was in.
If they entertained you enough that you didn't find fault, that is a success, right? Like if we're analyzing it, that's one of the things that we do on the show is analyze the creative of Raw and how the stories are going and how the performers are performing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of what we do. But if you're at a point where like you're sitting there going, I had so much fun, I didn't really have to analyze it, then that in and of itself is worthy of praise because they were able to put out a product that entertained you, which is just all they're trying to do.
We'll talk about the two that are questionable at the end, but
yes.
Yeah, you were talking about Kofi Kingston. Comes out. Was he opening the show, or he was right after the opening? I guess after the Battle Royal.
Kofi was a little bit later. I want to talk about AJ Styles and Omos real quick before we get to Kofi, just because he's involved with that with the triple threat there. Because at one point he quoted Scott Steiner, which was cute. And they also, he and Omos took out the Viking Raiders in retaliation for the week before. So far, the Raiders have kind of looked like geeks. Yeah. And it's largely because of Omos. And Omos even kind of like, faced off with Drew a little bit. And you and I, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. You're very high on Omos.
In the beginning, very high. Right now, lukewarm.
Oh, no. Why is that? What changed?
We haven't seen the tag team champions defend their tag team championships in what feels like a month, or be involved in any significant program to set it up. I feel like they've just kind of been
because he's not.
They're just treading water. They're not really doing anything.
But I'm saying as a performer, right? As a big man, right now he's like the most protected big man in WWE. He's a champion. He's always booked like a monster. Vince obviously is very high on him, and you and I have both said the guy has pretty much everything that you're going to want from a big man main eventer, in a big man WWE main eventer, right? He can talk reasonably well. He's got presence. He gets it. He gets how to be scary, a scary big guy.
When he stands ringside, he's almost as tall as the ring post.
Yeah. Oh no. Visually, he gets his everything.
It's uncanny how big that man is.
But there's been guys before who were that big. They just don't have a lot of the tools that Omos has. But unfortunately, it does mean that in classic WWE creative fashion, a lot of other guys who are excellent and superlative in their own way are going to get sacrificed to Omos in order to keep him looking so incredibly amazing. And right now, it feels like the newest victims are the Viking Raiders.
War Machine.
War Machine. Is that how you're feeling right now? Are you feeling like are you okay with them being sacrificed to keep Omos looking amazing?
The thing that scares me about what you said a little bit ago with RK Bro being in line for the tag team championships because of the interactions with AJ and Omos this week is that I'm looking back at the Raiders, who have been back and forth with them for a few weeks now, and I'm thinking that they're next up. That they're technically the number one contenders, right? So saying that about RK Bro makes me go, but no, we got War Machine over here that's gonna hopefully get them back. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing.
They're probably gonna have a match with the Viking Raiders. They'll beat the Viking Raiders, and then maybe we'll move on to RK Bro. RK Bro's got some stuff to tie up too.
That's true.
So,
are they enhancement talents now? Dare I say that? Have War Machine been reduced to enhancement talent?
Well, if the problem is that the term enhancement talent refers to, at this point, someone like a Tozawa, someone like a Carrillo, someone who's, or a Gulak, I think probably the best example of it. Someone who's there to make other people look good.
Gulak won a championship this week.
Yeah, it's a 24/7 championship, dude. It's not the same thing.
I mean, on the scorecard,
you know as well as I do. That's as well as I do.
Technically, he had a championship match. He had a pinfall victory for a championship.
Okay. My point is, compared to Viking Raiders, Drew Gulak is an enhancement talent.
Yes.
The Viking Raiders are being used as enhancement for Omos right now, I would argue. They're getting a little bit of a win in here and there, but by and large, they're being used as a way to get Omos over. So they're technically being used as enhancement, but they are not enhancement talent. You know what I mean? There's a difference in perception. There's a difference in utilization.
Yeah, totally. And there's a presence there as well. There's a visual and a perception there about how they're used, like you said. And it's completely different. I get what you're saying. Yeah. I'm being a smartass. Don't mind me.
Great. Thanks. You want to catch up? And then we'll move on
Cal threw in 100 bits. Said only people who looked good in this match were Priest and Riddle, which based on that unique exchange between those two, I really want to see them again down the road. P.S. You went 2 months without that gold hubcap being on TV. Nobody missed it in all those bad Raws. Retire the damn thing. Also feel Priest needs to be in the ladder match with no story right now.
I certainly wouldn't mind Priest being in the ladder match, but I feel like they kind of shot all their shots on Raw.
I would not have been mad at Priest winning that Battle Royal and going and having a killer match and maybe even a squeaky pull-out victory over AJ and Drew just to qualify. Riddle, like you said, Riddle's already in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad at that either, but I liked, if this is how they're going to use Priest, I wasn't mad at it. Like, it's not great to have the dude get beat, but at least he wasn't pinned, which is a very different perceptual, that's the way they perceive it. It's very different to get pinned or submitted than to be, get tossed over the top rope. It's not the end of the world. But at the same time, that's the problem with the Battle Royale. It's going to be the Geek Squad until you get down to the final few.
True.
And that's what it was.
Thank you, Cal.
Thank you very much, brother. But not a geek. Kofi Kingston, he's pissed about the fact that Bobby Lashley tortured his buddy Xavier Woods inside Hell in a Cell last week.
Put some respect on his name.
What did Xavier expect asking for a Hell in a Cell match with Bobby Lashley? He's not going to sit you on his lap and pat you on your head and ask you what you want for Christmas. Right. He's going to cheese grate your face on the chains on the side of the cage. What did you expect, man? Come on. But Kofi said, put some respect on Xavier's name. He did a man's job last week, and only because of MVP, that scumbag MVP, did he lose that match. So he called out MVP, and sure enough, MVP came out and said, Kofi, I remember when you actually mattered. Remember that, Kofi? But now you're just this goofball who does all this, clown stuff. And I'm out here looking like a pimp, and Lashley's taking the week off because he deserves it. And Kofi said, I do all that goofy stuff. You know what else I do? Win the WWE Championship, just like Bobby Lashley. He and I both are one-time champs. I was a champ for 6 months, and I never took a day off. I took my days off when I wasn't wrestling, when there wasn't show days. I went to Ghana and showed kids there that anything's possible, and I'm the living example of that. What's Lashley doing? Hanging out with hot chicks, sipping champagne, and taking off actual wrestling shows.
That's what I'd be doing.
You'd be Lashleying it? Yeah, I can't say I'd be going back to Ghana and showing the kids anything's possible, but
I'm not a good
effect.
representation of that anyway.
Well, it's a good
I'm
thing
an
you're never gonna be
overprivileged
WWE
fat
champion.
white dude in the Carolinas.
Yeah. where as Conan said, the men are men and the sheep
Yes.
are nervous. But yeah, no, the MVP said this is going to be worse than the Brock Lesnar match that you had. Like, we're going to crush you. So we went back and forth until Kofi finally called it MVP. They started getting closer and closer. MVP came down to the ring, and Kofi said, well, why don't you jump on in here, man? You've been nursing that leg injury for 6 months now. Let's go. And MVP said, no, see, the difference is I'm legitimately hurt, so I'd love to come in there and beat your ass, but I'm not gonna. So Kofi jumped out of the ring and kicked him in the face instead. Laid him out and said, now you hurt.
It's one of my favorite lines. I think it's, what is it from, it's not Any Given Sunday, it's Friday Night Lights where somebody says, are you injured or are you hurt?
Right.
Injured, you can still fight.
Right. Or hurt, you can still fight. Injured, maybe not. Anyway, the bottom line is that this was awesome. This was hot fire. And again, it was a bunch of basic stuff that on an off week would have sounded very flat. It wouldn't have registered. It wouldn't have resonated. But these guys were locked in. And it's you could feel Kofi again. Like it felt like Kofi. It felt like a dude you wanted to get behind. And MVP felt like a smarmy, oily scumbag. It was
Dick
phenomenal.
heel in a suit. Loved it.
Dick heel in a suit. They even called it out. He called out his suit.
It was a really nice suit.
It was a great segment. It was damn right. But the great thing about this is for the first time in a while, it felt like the main event, the Bobby Lashley main event, had a little bit of heat to
Had
it.
some new blood.
Had some new blood. Had some it felt like there was some fire there. Now the weird thing is that Kofi said, "Don't worry, Xavier's going to be back next week," and then we find out that Xavier's going to be facing Lashley again. So that's a bit of bizarre, to say the least, booking. I mean, if they're going to injure the guy, why not injure him in Hell in a Cell and say his injuries are so bad in Hell? Like, put some respect on Hell in a Cell's name. Have it be so bad, his injuries are so bad from being in Hell in a Cell that he can't come back. As it is, they're going to have him injured next week as well.
Or is this a swerve just to have Kofi take his place and take on Lashley? Because he already beat him once.
He's doing that at Money in the Bank. He's doing that at Money in the Bank. Like, don't give it to them too early.
Why
Keep
are
it
we
in your
having
pants.
another match next week then? I agree.
It's weird.
It should have been done at Hell in a Cell.
Bizarre. Do you feel like, given the current trajectory, because we will have fans back at Money in the Bank, will it feel like Kofi Mania 2? Or will this just be a flash in the pan and Lashley moves on?
Kofi's not in Money in the Bank, is he?
No, he's facing Lashley at
Right,
Money in the
that's what
Bank.
it is. Okay.
Yeah.
But he's not competing for the briefcase at all. Okay.
No.
Because that's what. Listen, that's what I was saying. Is it possible that Kofi Kingston could win the Money in the Bank briefcase and ultimately continue to challenge? I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. How do we? Because it just feels weird that we're, like you said, we're having another match with Xavier Woods after a Hell in a Cell match, 2 weeks after a Hell in a Cell match. That doesn't
bizarre.
make any sense. Are we ready for Kofi Mania 2.0? It's starting to feel like it, but I don't know if it's gonna. Well, I mean, we got 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks from Sunday.
I would like to hope that in real life and backstage, MVP, who's been pushing for a program with Kofi Kingston and Lashley, the man who legitimately cried in a bar with Shad Gaspard when Kofi won the title, I would hope that he would like to give Kofi a program that is worthy of him. I would think that he would like to give Kofi a match that is worthy of him. And if Kofi goes down, or if they find some squirrely way out of it, Money in the Bank, they do it in a way that enhances Kofi or keeps him. It's not the Brock Lesnar 14-second squash, right? Like, that's I'm hoping they have, with whatever pull MVP has, and obviously he's got some pull, but not enough to keep Hurt Business together. I would hope that he would have enough pull to get something good out of this program for Kofi, and not just goes in, gets murdered, and it's a Brock Lesnar match. He gets murdered by Lashley in 10 minutes and it's over. I'd hope there's more there. So I got my fingers
Same.
crossed on this one.
Kyle 300 bit said, all this makes me wonder why on earth isn't Kofi cycled into the main event more often with this fire?
A lot of people wonder that. That's when Kofi Mania happened. Everyone kind of went, "Oh shit, they should have been main eventing Kofi for a while."
Yep.
But that's not his perception. They after that he went right back to where he was before, like nothing had happened. And only in moments like this do they even reference the fact that he was a WWE champion. They bring Kofi Mania back up when they feel it's convenient, but they don't see Kofi as a constant main eventer. He's a utility guy. We can plug him into the main event if necessary, but and Dog Ziggler's mad about it too because he's a big Kofi fan. Yeah, well, what he was just saying is that Kofi should get more. You're right. He should get more title shots. But right now, he's still working in the tag team division. Right now, he's still a utility guy. So the fact that he gets any looks at the main event scene at all, I think we should be grateful for that.
Agreed. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah. Speaking of main event scenes, the women's tag team titles and the Raw Women's Championship once again in a match together. 6-woman tag match. Charlotte Flair teaming up with the tag champs, with Natalya and Tamina. 3 women with a legacy in the business, which Charlotte made sure to point out backstage. We all know what it's like to have special blood. And they went out there and had a match with Rhea Ripley, who tagged up with Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And Nick, I got to say, when they announced this, my eyes rolled. I went, oh, God. What was your reaction when you first heard about this?
The match itself or?
When you heard about it, before the match started. But what was your impression of the match before it started? Was it, oh, God, or was it like, okay, let's see what we got here?
Let's see what we got here.
Oh, you were skeptically
optimistic. You know, I didn't mind.
You are feeling
I didn't mind the pairing of Charlotte with Natalya and Tamina and then Rhea Ripley with Mandy and Dana. I thought it was, okay, let's see what happens. We all ultimately know what this is about. But you get 6 women that are fantastic workers in the ring, you know, and let them go.
You're so jovial.
I know.
This week. You're so easygoing. What happened?
It's my last. I'm on vacation next week, and I'm kind of celebrating a little early. So it's one of those things where it's like 3 more days, 3 more days. Then this bitch is getting turned off, and I'm gonna play some video games for a week straight.
So we're getting happy Uncle Nick this week. We're not getting crabby. Oh no, I hate everything. Charlotte Flair teaming up with Natalya and Tamina. What is this garbage?
I mean, Jungle Boy, but everything else, it's fine.
Hey, man. You do you, Jungle.
Yeah, props. Bravo.
Well,
Youngblood.
Don't do you. Mm-hmm. Way to go, Youngblood. Yeah. Make JR mad. But here's the thing. This match started off, and I kind of rolled my eyes at it. But it started off, and all these women went at each other like they hated each other. Rhea and Charlotte tussling at full strength was awesome. There it is. There it is. That's what this should be, is the 2 of them get within 5 feet, and they want to hurt each other. Now you're talking. There's the intensity. There's the fire. And we end up having the match, and there was a lot of skullduggery and back and forth, and some nice little sequences as well. I was surprised how long this match went. But ultimately, Charlotte, of course, gets the pin on Mandy, but then gets blindsided by Rhea Ripley, who chop blocks her and runs out of the ring like the proverbial scalded dog. And then starts laughing at her from the outside. And I could only think, Nick, was that they were so close, but at the end, once again, if I didn't know any of these women coming into this show, and I watched this segment, coming out of this segment, I'd be sitting there going, who the hell am I supposed to be rooting for?
Exactly. That's the one thing that I was hung up about was it feels some of these things aren't like the other, that something's role reversed or just something just feels out of whack about everything that's going on here.
Like, do I root for the women who are having this elitist thing about their bloodline and then ultimately win the match and look heroic, facing off against this other obviously strong team and getting chop blocked by the dastardly kind of leader of the other team?
Somehow it's a get back, and Rhea saying, "Hey, that's the receipt for last week."
Yeah. What face gives receipts? Well, I mean, even Even, like, if you're trying to make a badass anti-hero, they don't scuttle out of the ring after giving a cheap shot. Like, that was just bad. That was a bad look all around.
You beat them down, you stand over the top of them, and you go, that's for chop blocking me last week.
That's your receipt. That's your receipt, is me punching you in the goddamn mouth. Like, come up behind her and just give her a big elbow to the back of the head, lay her out, and then stand over and go, there's your damn receipt, woman.
This whole Rhea skittering away, I think you're right. I think that's the thing that's going to do her some disservice.
She was the most physically imposing woman in this match, and this is a match with Charlotte and Tamina and Mandy Rose, like women that are jacked or big. And Rhea is the most physically imposing woman in this match, and to have her scuttle out of the ring at the end was bizarre. It was bizarre. It just proves they just do not know how to present Rhea Ripley. Still. She's a world ender. Treat her as such.
Yeah. They're not. She
and
wasn't smiling coming down to the ramp. She just had that.
Which, they're having her still do the goddamn smirk. Rhea Smirkly. I'm better than all these bitches. I'm Rhea Smirkly. I'm a chop block you and run away. Because I'm dastardly. But also, you're supposed to root for me. So, yeah.
No. Still bungling Rhea, unfortunately. Kyle threw in another 100 bits. Thank you so much, man. I love most of this, but can we please clearly define Rhea as a face in all of this? The story about Rhea turning into Charlotte isn't doing her favors. The only reason I can think they're doing this is to spin wheels and quickly reposition Rhea as heel and with Becky returning, which undermines someone who should be on par with Becky and Ronda in terms of star presence. If you're doing all, let me tell you something. If they're doing all of this just to ultimately bitch Rhea out to Becky when she comes back, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to flip my shit.
Gonna come back
if this is all just a means to an end, treading water till Becky gets back so we can have some little NXT girl be ready for Becky 316 2.0, I'm going to be pissed. That better not be the case.
Well, Becky is coming back this week on SmackDown, so maybe she's going to be on SmackDown instead. SmackDown does need women.
Totally.
Much more
they could totally stand to have Becky Lynch down on SmackDown. Plus, Seth being down there is interesting. I've been speculating that for basically since she announced the pregnancy at Money in the Bank last year. So
you want to have her and Seth versus Corbin and Lacey again? Is that what you want?
No.
Happy Corbin?
No.
Did you hear about Happy Corbin?
Did he go to counseling or something?
They trademarked the name.
Happy Corbin?
So it's looking like Happy Corbin.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. God. Yeah, buddy. It's coming. Brace yourself. Brace yourself for Happy Corbin. That's coming your way. Oh, another name that they trademarked was Nikki Ash. Nikki A.S.
Which they used this week on commentary.
And they used it for Nikki Cross, who now is considering herself almost a superhero, or AASH, or ASH for even shorter. So they're now calling her Nikki Ash instead of Nikki Cross. She's still wearing the superhero outfit without the blue makeup under the mask, which is a better look. She still has that just goddamn infectious joy about this whole thing. And every time that I want to crap on it and be like, this is so dumb, she's so happy about it, and she's so earnest and so eager about how she wants to be an example to people who are down, to young boys and girls who want to feel like they're worth something. I can't be mad at her. I can't be mad at this stupid superhero gimmick, and I want to be, but I can't because it's just she's getting it over, Nick. She's grabbing the brass ring on it. God, it's amazing.
Is the outfit itself and the color scheme and everything inspired from Watchmen? I keep getting Watchmen vibes off of the colors.
I mean, or it could be Wolverine's original outfit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The OG Wolverine.
No, I think it's an artist backstage drew it up for her, and they modified it a little bit, and then we get what we get now. But yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of its own thing. And frankly, the outfit's fine. It works. And this was bizarre. She had a match against Shayna Baszler, one-on-one, supposedly, But because Bliss Cross Applesauce is apparently somewhat back together now, I guess, Alexa's kind of on Nikki's side again. Nikki's just kind of oblivious to the fact that Alexa's there. Alexa came out to the ring to mess with Nia Jax and Reginald while the match was going on. Basically, Nikki Cross got her ass beat by Shayna for the first half of this match, as it should be. And then once Shayna was distracted by all of the supernatural shenanigans ringside, including including Alexa trying to take over Nia's brain again, and Reginald getting kicked in the nuts, and just whatever, all kinds of nonsense outside. Ultimately, Shayna gets magistral cradled up again. 1, 2, 3. Nikki Ash wins the match again. Shayna Baszler and roll-ups. I swear to God. But that being said, Nick, if you look at this from a Shayna fan standpoint, obviously disappointing, sad. At least she's kind of looking good in backstage segments. But if you're looking at this from a Nikki standpoint, this whole segment was great.
I was a Nikki Cross fan long before Shayna Baszler came around.
You were. You've been a Nikki Cross fan since, God, day one. So
I like her better than Asuka. Did I just admit that? You did. You said that in the last women's standing match. You were like, Nikki Cross just earned every bit of respect from me. She's had it ever since.
But here we are. Now she's truly gone fully main roster, and they found some goofball gimmick for her. Or rather, she's created her own goofball gimmick, knowing that's what they love on main roster, and she's making it freaking work. In the midst of all this Alexa Bliss garbage, in the midst of all of this misuse of Shayna and whatever the hell they're doing with Reginald and Nia, Nikki has a gimmick that just might get over just from her sheer willpower.
And it's not even that.
And her charisma.
It's a fantastic message that she's giving, in all seriousness, outside of kayfabe. It's a fantastic message that she's given to people who might carry some level of insecurity about themselves. It's a fantastic message for kids that isn't yet another bullying angle. You know, being proud of yourself and letting your inner hero shine and all of that stuff. It's fantastic.
Mental illness. Yeah. If you suffer from depression, you know what I mean? It's a message of positivity. It's not quite as on the nose as New Day was. There's a lot of times in WWE, they put these very kind of patronizing, pat messages behind things. And this is one of those. But she's doing it with such genuine heart behind it. And she's being so eloquent about it in her speeches, where she's not fumbling for the words. You can feel she believes every word. And we're just reiterating what we said last week about it. It's just, she doubled down on it. She did it again. It's so genuine, this message that she's putting out there, that it's hard to hate on it. It's hard to be like, oh, this is WWE just being patronizing and, you know, they don't really mean it. I believe she truly means it. I believe she's truly going out there in this goofy outfit, believing she's going to be an inspiration for people. And because of that belief, I believe that she will be.
Yeah.
And that's something special.
Totally. Let's see where it goes. But poor Shayna Baszler. Kyle Thrun 100 bits said, I feel like they still... What?
Nice.
Oh,
so nice.
I feel like they still need to get Nikki a better mask that allows you to see her eyes better. Maybe some sort of butterfly mask that highlights her eyes more. To me, the mask is hindering the connection with her while she's working because you can't see her eyes.
I thought that last week, Kyle. I thought that last week, the face paint behind it darkened her whole eyes down. They didn't do the face paint this week. Her eyes popped a lot more. Could they still tweak the costume? Yeah, I don't think it would hurt, but it's way better without the eyes painted. Way better. She reads a lot better. I also love the Lucha House Party walking by her and going like, nice mask. It was cute. But that was not the only thing.
Hang on one second.
Nick, you
While all this was going on, there were some of the best commentary shenanigans happening between Saxton and Graves. Saxton talking about going and getting his Zorro mask. Like, the commentary, it wasn't just the show. There was something different about the show last night. And I can't really put my finger on it. Maybe everybody else is going on vacation next week, and they're happy too. But the commentary last night was especially awesome as well.
Can we throw out some love to Jimmy, by the way? He is killing it. Killing it. I love his passion calls. I love the fact that he's able to pick out like some MMA moves in there and actually call moves. His timing's getting better with Graves and Saxton. Like, the dude is doing the work. He's working out.
Fantastic
big time.
middle
I'm liking
chair,
him a lot.
Guy. He's doing great. He's much better than Adnan Vak, who did this for the 4 weeks straight.
Yes, but that goes without saying. I'm almost starting to like him better than Tom Phillips.
I don't know if I'm there yet.
Because Tom was basically like Michael Cole light.
He was
like
Michael Cole
vanilla
without
Michael
all
Cole.
the annoying stuff.
He was a less robotic Michael Cole. Jimmy feels like a different animal, and it's fresh.
He feels, honestly, feel like, it's a stretch. Don't come at me too hard.
Don't even say it.
It feels like a lighter, more tame version of Mauro Ranallo.
If Mauro Ranallo was like at a 2.
Of course. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Maybe. But he's coming from the same
diet
world, so that does make sense.
Mauro Ranallo.
But that's they come from the same world, so it would make sense that you're getting a little bit of that nuance in his delivery, right? They're both coming from the fight world, so that would make sense. But yeah, no, I'm loving him. I'm loving commentary right now on Raw. It's thank God. I think Adnan Virk definitely taught us how bad it could get. And again, the poor guy, no disrespect to him as a talent or as an announcer, just was not the right place, not the right situation.
I'm very happy also for Vic Joseph, because they would use him on Raw every now and then, finding his place, finding his voice, and really just cementing himself as the center chair over on NXT.
He's getting good.
He's fantastic.
He's getting good in NXT too. Yeah. But also in the women's division on Raw, Doudrop, a.k.a. Piper Niven, which is what I shall refer to her as for the rest of this segment.
Can we just call her Viper Niven?
That's not a bad idea either. She had a match against Asuka and Naomi. And I would say that she was tagging with Eva Marie, except Eva Marie stayed on the apron the entire time and when Piper went for a tag at one point, Eva just jumped off the apron, kind of like what Piper did to her last week. She was going to teach her a lesson. Except this week, Piper beat both Asuka and Naomi single-handedly. I'll say that again. Piper Niven, a.k.a. Viper, a.k.a. Doudrop, beat Asuka and Naomi straight up in a handicap match while being distracted. She pinned Asuka.
Wait, what?
She gave her a beautiful crossbody splash. She pinned Asuka. Straight up. She beat 2 former women's champions by herself.
That was one of the prettiest crossbody top rope splashes I've seen.
It was just a straight splash. It wasn't even top rope. It was just on the ground.
She might have come running.
It was
she come running at her.
Splash.
Okay. I knew she had
Running
some
splash,
elevation, one, and then she kind of like flared and curled her arms and legs back.
Yeah, she opened wide up. It was
Asuka
beautiful.
hit her head really hard. They showed it in slow motion again afterwards. You could see Asuka just boom, her head bounce off it.
Asuka was selling for her big time. Here's the thing. I would be more mad at this if I wasn't such a big fan of Piper Niven and think that she's got a ton of potential. And this might indicate that they do too. They just have to get her out of the stupid Doudrop gimmick. But fine, everyone's got to start somewhere. They're trying to introduce people to her. If that's what they're doing, if Ava Marie came in to be the fulcrum on which the rise of Piper Niven, of Doudrop, whatever they're going to end up calling her, hopefully they go back to Piper Niven. If she's going to be the trampoline on which she bounces off of to elevate herself, cool. I'm in. Because so far she's shown that she deserves to be there on Raw. She's got the presence. She has the facials. She's got the wrestling skills. This was a bit of bizarre booking. Yes, Eva Marie I'm talking about has the mic skills and the presence and the facial. Doudrop, dude.
I made you say it.
I'm not talking about Eva Marie. Come on. Viking experience. How dare you? Oh, they shrunk. They shriveled up. I'd be more mad at this if I didn't feel like it was in service of getting Piper Niven some serious momentum.
This is what I was saying at the top of the show. Everything else on Raw was so good last night. I didn't even mind this.
Right.
And it was, like you said, in service to Piper Niven getting over.
I'm skeptically optimistic, Nick. I'm #skeptically optimistic. I'm sitting here going like, okay, you just beat Asuka and Naomi straight up. Please do something with this.
When does she turn around and murder Eva Marie?
Yeah. Okay. We're going. So you can go somewhere with this now. You've got the thrusters are firing. Do something with this. Do something. Like, it's Asuka. I know that it's not, she's not the Asuka of old anymore. It's fine. She can drop down the card a little bit. She'll be fine. It's goddamn Asuka. I'm no longer worried about Asuka at all. Right?
Asuka's having a blast.
She's
if
having
she's having
so
a
much
blast,
fun.
we can't be mad at it. You know?
I can't be
Kyle
mad.
threw in another 100 bits, said, I woke up today with Piper Niven changing her Twitter @ to Dewdrop and sighed in pain. You can't drag this being called something when you are something else. It only works until she screws over Eva. Exactly. If that's what it's for, Kyle, then I'm on board. After that, you are insulting our intelligence between commentary and reporters, insisting on calling her that when no reporter would have a job after getting a name wrong repeatedly.
I tell you right now, Nick, next time you and I go to a WWE event, I'm starting a Piper Niven chant for her. She comes out, Piper Niven, Piper Niven, F-U-W-E. Dewdrop is stupid. Piper Niven, damn it. Strap the rockets. Strap the goddamn rockets.
She's going to be huge. She's doing fantastic. She's going to be a big influence in the division. I'm very, very optimistically optimistic.
Damn, you're double optimistic? You're optimistic squared?
My only fear is that she's going to be used to get Eva Marie, try and push Eva Marie.
Yeah. Or that they're going to do some sort of
screw it up
dumb
somehow.
Angle. They're already kind of doing like a half angle with her weight, and I'm like, don't do it. She's a big girl. That's it. You did it with Nia Jax. You don't need to do it for every bigger girl. Leave it alone. Like, don't give her like a Big Daddy V dancing gimmick. Leave it alone. Come on. Nick, it finally happened. It finally happened on this Raw. They've been on the same brand for a while. We were wondering when it was going to happen. And finally, Ricochet and John Morrison
who?
had a match.
Prince
Ricochet
Puma
and
and Johnny Mundo were reunited on Monday Night Raw last night, ladies and gentlemen. And how weird was it to see friggin' Conan on AEW on Saturday night, and then this happens 48 hours later.
2021, you're a weird bitch. This was great. What was great about this is, first off, in the backstage, Ricochet messing with Miz and Morrison, stealing their dripstick and spraying them both, and being a total goofball about it, and nailing it in a very fun little segment. And then coming out to the ring, Miz on commentary the entire time, trying to get between them, and having his chair get used as a launch point by Ricochet. Ricochet and Morrison basically going right back to Lucha Underground and giving us essentially a sanitized version of that stuff. So much good stuff in this match. It'd be hard to. This match was fantastic. And the best part is it felt like an appetizer. Yeah. It felt like they left a ton. We know they left a ton of stuff on the table because we've seen what they can actually do back in Lucha Underground together. We've seen the stuff these guys can do together, and they just kind of gave like little morsels. Here's a little bit of that. And
because we had to mix all the WWE shit in ringside with Miz,
sure.
Right?
Which they made it work.
It works.
They
Miz
made it
is
fun.
Freaking genius in that chair.
Like the stupid dripsticks and Ricochet spraying Miz with it again, then breaking the damn thing and hucking it.
This is a $5,000 suit. What is this spraying me with that thing? Well, what's in the dripstick, Miz? That you're so worried about your suit being ruined. I don't want to talk about anything else in this match except for that springboard crossbody over the barricade.
So if you had told me when this match started, yeah, this is going to end in a double count out, I would have said, I'm disappointed. But then when we actually got the double count out, I went, no, that's a good call. Because they got more and more progressively insane until Morrison was sitting on the barricade outside, and Ricochet does a springboard crossbody from the ring across Morrison all the way over the barricade.
They easily clears the barricade.
Oh my God!
That's like 10 feet.
Hit him perfectly, and they just go flying behind the barricade. Obviously, the crash pad or something back there to keep them from dying, which they removed before showing the bodies. But at the same time, like, what a spot. And then Ricochet climbs back over the barricade at about an 8 count. Can't make it to the ring. It's double count.
I wouldn't have been able to either.
So left some on the table. left it open-ended with a match finish that was such a big holy shit moment that you couldn't be mad at them both being double counted out because you were like, yeah, they're both dead. They're both dead. It's okay to have it be a 10 count. We'll see more of this later. Freaking sweet. Leave us wanting more. Leave us with a big high at the end of the match. Fantastic.
Miz with the look on his face, just wheeling himself over there. Johnny!
Oh, shit, they did.
Yeah. Chevy with 100 bits. Can we talk about the slingshot crossbody over the barricade? By God!
Yes! That's what we're talking about.
Thank you, Shep.
Slingshot, springboard, crossbody over the barricade. By God!
When I figured out that we were probably going to get a program, hopefully this turns it, we get a program, like a proper sequence of matches out of this. How could they not see what happened last night? The magic that happened with those two guys.
And on Twitter, the Twitter blew up with them, everyone being like, people in the industry and out of the industry going like, holy shit, that match. And all 300,000 of us who ever watched Lucha Underground are sitting here going, we know!
All 300 of us.
300,000, to be fair. But the bottom line is yes, hopefully people backstage in creative saw this and went, oh shit, those guys are really good together. Maybe we should do a program with them. And maybe you should.
Go watch season 1 of Lucha Underground, you idiots.
1 and 2.
2, yeah.
Season 1 and 2. And part of 3.
By the way, you got Taya down in NXT.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
SmackDown's a little thin. Sheppy, what's up, man? Sheppy threw in 100 bits. He said, at one point, I thought Ricochet was going to flip over Miz in the wheelchair and hit a Canadian Destroyer on Morrison. Oh, no, he just bounced off of the chair and did a, what was it? Was it a flipping senton or was it just a crossbody? Either way, he went flying over the wheelchair.
It's one of those that are on my list to go back and watch this week because that match was hot fire. Kyle also threw in 100 bits, said, can I just say I would absolutely love to see the briefcase on Morrison, adding to this dynamic between Miz and Morrison. It'll be hilarious for a few months, and then you build that tension between them, a la Bryan and Miz, before Morrison cashes in and you establish him as a new main eventer. My only hang up with that, Kyle, is that you're not going to do that while you've got the likes of Lashley, Drew, and Roman Reigns running around. Yeah,
and Morrison is still a comedy gimmick with Miz. And I know Morrison was interviewed this week, and he said, I'm changing my perspective. I want to be WrestleMania main eventer. There's no reason to be here unless I want to do that. He's got a lot of changing the perception of him to do to get
Miz
to that
and Morrison
point.
have to be careful, or they turn into Breezango. And
exactly.
That's dangerous territory to skate into willingly.
Agreed, fully. That being said, thank you, Sheppy, for correcting me. It was a Rana. Ricochet did flip off over the wheelchair.
Of course he did.
Lands with a Rana on Morrison and throws him on the ground. It's just unreal. But that being said, Nick, that was not the only match on the show. There was one more match. It was a strap match between Jackson Riker and Elias. We finally got the long-awaited, long-anticipated strap match between Elias and Jackson Riker. Jackson Riker seen earlier on in the show taking the strap and slapping a big old moving case. Roadie case backstage. And then later, the 24/7 geeks are running around backstage, and he's whipping himself with the strap again. And R-Truth holds up and goes, "Hey, man, yeah, all right? Anything you want to talk about?" And finally gets through to him. Riker's over here. They come to snuff the rooster in Riker's eyes. So he's over there just having some sort of weird PTSD flashback. That's all I can think about. Every time I see Riker's dead eyes these days, I'm just going, yeah, they come to snuff the rooster. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here come the rooster. Yeah. Exactly. Walking tall, machine gun man.
Yeah, exactly.
They spit on me in my homeland.
What was the Monty Python, the druid guys, or where they were hitting
that's what we were
the
saying
books
last
and they're
week.
hitting them on the head, in their face?
That was our joke about him last week. Don't ice requiem. But this week it's Allison Chase. I couldn't get the song out of my head when he's whipping himself.
If he had looked at R-Truth and said, "Charlie, don't surf," I would have lost my shit, right? He's gone Duval, guys.
Oh shit! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Right.
Oh, God. We ultimately had the match, and Riker beat Elias. He just, he sidewalk slammed him. That was the end of the strap match. All right. Cool.
It was
Whatever.
a fine 5-minute.
Yeah. They gave him 5 minutes for a strap match.
It's no Dustin Rhodes bull rope match. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the worst thing on Raw this week.
It was no Daniel Bryan versus the Fiend. But it was a match. It was a strap match. They didn't suck. I'll give them that. They didn't suck.
I will say, as quiet as it was in that place, even with the piped-in music, those strap slaps across the back sounded like shotguns going off.
Oh, God. It shows that they do have a sense of humor about it, though, because having R-Truth kind of take the piss out of it a little bit was genuinely funny. And him being like just creeped out and Riker just, yeah, they come to stuff the rooster. Like just staring off into space.
Kyle threw another 100 bits in and says, is it weird that I'm more freaked out by Riker whipping himself than anything Snitsky or Heidenreich did? Like that man needs to be in a padded room locked up and we all back away from the crazy man.
Oh, back away from
nothing
the
to see
man.
Here. Please disperse.
Yeah. I don't know where they're going with this Riker thing, but I'm having fun with it.
It is what it is.
If they're gonna go there, I'll try to have fun.
It's better than him just standing ringside, eyeballing people, menacing people. Arr, yeah, exactly. Big man, mean monster, bad. Yeah.
But that was Raw.
That was Raw.
Like we said, pretty solid Raw, all things considered. Certainly compared to the last few weeks, which were god awful. This was actually a nice breath of somewhat fresh air. Vince hadn't completely farted all over it. Nice and fresh. Napalm. But that's not all we talked about this week. Not all we have to talk about. No, we have more to talk about because, of course, thanks to the NBA playoffs, we had AEW on Saturday, which means we have to go right now and talk about Dynamite.
I was not.
Yeah.
I was actually, you know what? No, I was prepared for this match. I was almost about to say I was not prepared for this match. I was prepared for this match. I'm actually surprised they did this. They only got, 2 or 3 weeks until one of the Fight for the Fallen for the Fest things happening in July.
They've got Road Rager on the 7th, which is doing a big show. They've got Fighter Fest on the 21st.
That's the one I'm thinking of. So 3 weeks, we've got Fighter Fest happening, regularly scheduled Dynamite show. It's not a pay-per-view or anything like that, but I was surprised that they did it this fast, because I feel like that's a bigger match, or that's a bigger star than what they would normally have Kenny go up against.
They needed to have a big match to pull people to Saturday. They're on a Saturday. They need to have something to make people want to tune in, and it worked. They got 650,000 people, which is the best rating that they've got in the out of position, like over the last few weeks, the out of position era of the last few weeks. Where they have not been on Wednesdays, when they've been on Fridays and now Saturdays. That's the best rating they've gotten. And it peaked during Jungle Boy versus Omega. So that match drew. Period. And it's the reason it should have. It was a 20-minute match, and it was fantastic.
It was beautiful.
It was everything it was hyped up to be. It was phenomenal.
Even if you're not a big AEW fan, go watch that match.
Go watch that match.
It's friggin' Kenny Omega, for God's sakes, and maybe one of the hottest blue chippers in the entire wrestling industry. In Jack Perry, in Jungle Boy. Yeah.
Well, up and comers. I mean, one of the questions I had here was how long until Jungle Boy is a true main eventer? Because right now he's one of the crop, the several deep crop of AEW talent that is young that you can put in like a main event on a weekly show like this. But he's not a main eventer like Moxley. He's not a main eventer like Jericho.
He doesn't have the saltiness yet.
He's not right. He hasn't been.
He's not
seasoned.
seasoned yet.
He's not. He doesn't look like he's made out of leather yet.
But I can see a world
like
in 3 to 5 years where MJF and Jungle Boy are the main event.
And that's what I'm saying is based on his performance in this match, his presence. Like this felt like this had a big fight feel to it, with the way that they came out, with the crowd reactions, Justin Roberts introing the guys. Like it felt like a big fight.
It did.
And Jungle Boy held himself like a competitor. He's not the most charismatic guy backstage on the mic. Tends to be very soft-spoken. We know he's a fairly shy, nervous kid in real life. But he feels like his presence when he comes out to the ring is of a star. And we talk about those ephemerals, right? Some people don't quite have that holy shit, who is that presence. Jungle Boy has that presence. And that's really, I think, something you cannot teach that. You have it or you don't. Jungle Boy goddamn well has it. Kenny Omega definitely has it, coming out draped in 4 belts. But, having 4 belts around you definitely helps. It's really also nice that they actually had this match be one-on-one. You had the ref kick out. Marco Stunt jumped in the ring and tried to get squirrely, and they kicked out Marco Stunt and the rest of Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus. They also kicked out the Good Brothers. So it was just Jungle Boy and Kenny Omega. No shenanigans.
And I thought that was nice of the ref to kind of clear the ringside in that way. It worked out well. But by the time we got this match started, there was only 10 minutes left, and I was sitting here, and they were making a big deal about, we're going to stay with this match as long as it takes, 60-minute time limit. And I was like, this ain't going 60 minutes.
But I still felt like I saw a full match.
100%.
I did not leave hungry. I did not leave hungry.
Yep.
I felt like they told the beginning, the middle, the end, and it was just Jungle Boy having all sorts of guts and heart, and Kenny Omega just having one step on him. Just one little step on him. That was it. Great match. Fantastic match. What does Jungle Boy need to work on to take that next step, if anything?
Imposing presence. Or he's one step away, in my opinion, from having that fighting upwards. He hasn't really had to fight upwards for anything yet. He hasn't really been in a real thing where he's been chasing something, and I feel like that's the one thing he's missing.
So you want to have a long-term story with him.
Yeah.
You want him to have you want Jungle Boy needs to quest.
I need to see he needs to go on Walkabout. And he needs to have some kind of he needs to build some history for himself. And just doing weekly matches with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt on Dynamite, that's not going to get you there. You need something that you can sink your teeth into with him. He needs to build some lore around himself. And yeah, well, we can figure the rest out. He's 22, 23? I don't even know.
4.
Yeah, 24.
So what you're saying, he needs a defining feud is what you're saying. Interesting. That's not a bad call, actually. I was going to say something along the lines of a little work on the mic backstage, but I think the rest is going to come in time. But certainly like a defining feud would go a long way. I feel like Sammy Guevara is in the middle of one right now. I feel like Sammy Guevara is doing like leaps and bounds with this Pinnacle feud.
He has at least 2, if not 3 separate kind of storylines going on in parallel. Because he's going to now have a match with MJF next week.
Right.
But he's feuding, I'll do air quotes and say, with Sean Spears. So there's all kinds of moving pieces around Sammy Guevara. He's another one I'm looking at going, we got something in the plan here for Sammy Guevara?
But look at I think he's in the middle of that feud that you're talking about. Him quitting the Inner Circle and leaving through the face tunnel, coming back heroically as a face later, and now we'll talk about everything that went down. Let's talk about it now. Let's just say the end, because the end of the show went off the air. Christian Cage coming out to save Jungle Boy from Kenny Omega, who tried to take him out. Matt Hardy and all his goons take out Christian Cage. That's the end of the show. Okay. Bit of a kerfuffle, nothing special. Didn't really need it, but it was there. And Matt and Nick coming out to kick Christian in the face too. Okay. For good measure. Yeah. Whatever. Let's talk about Inner Circle and Pinnacle. Because early on in the show, we had Sammy Guevara get taken out with a chair by Sean Spears. And then later on, we had Tully Blanchard going face-to-face with Conan, who's back to repping Proud and Powerful.
LAX.
Like LAX, yeah. So nice to have that put back together. Conan just eviscerated Tully on the mic. Just straight up killed him.
He wouldn't let him talk. Tully kept trying to cut in on him, and he wouldn't let him go. It was hilarious.
Because Tully kept trying to have rebuttals, and his rebuttal was basically, "My guy's going to come out and kick your ass," and then Conan would come out with some other line like, "You better learn Spanish because you're going to need to be able to communicate with your grandkids." Which God
damn!
Oh Jesus! I mean, is that the first Tessa reference we've had on AEW?
Ooh.
Yeah, no, that was incredible.
I think it was,
saying,
actually.
yeah, you guys, your boys are from North Carolina where they F sheep. We're from the streets of New York where they put us in jail for, having colored skin. Like, we grew up different. We got a different mentality on life. And Tully just got eviscerated out there. But you know what? Here's the thing. That's how it should have been. Tully should have looked like all he had were threats, and Conan had him beat in the mental game. And Conan said, look, you want to threaten me with your boys? Well, here are my boys. And he called out Santana Ortiz, come out. They're all masked up, hooded up. They come out behind Conan. He's like, where are your boys now, man? I'm always one step ahead of you. And Tully goes, is that so? Look at the monitor. On the monitor, we see Santana and Ortiz beat up backstage, and Conan kind of does the whole, well, if they're up there, then who's the ones behind me? Oh, no! And FTR unmasks and gives Conan a spike pile driver. This dude's waiting for more surgeries on his neck and back. He's got an obvious hernia, and you're going to give him a goddamn spike pile driver. How highly must they think of FTR to allow them to do that to a guy in the physical shape that Conan's in?
That's trust.
That's trust.
On Conan's part, to allow it to happen.
On everybody's part. On the company's part.
Yeah, the liability of the
company.
company.
They could kill the man. Wow. Instant nuclear heat. Nuclear heat. This is the sort of thing Pinnacle has been needing. Pinnacle needed, like,
Pinnacle.
with Dean Malenko.
This is bigger than Pinnacle.
Dean Malenko last week. But, like, just take, like, the whole killing the legends, taking out Dean Malenko last week, taking out Conan this week. MJF later on making fun of the fact that Dean Malenko has heart problems and Parkinson's. And yes, we took him out. So F you. Like, oh, God damn. But the problem was, Nick, is that with all this heat they built through the entire show, it ended up with Jericho and Hager attacking MJF, Wardlow, and Spears backstage while MJF was going off on Malenko. Go out to the ring. They're outnumbered. Pinnacle starts getting one over, and then Sammy Guevara heroically comes down to the ring and chases them all off, which that's what I'm saying. It's his defining feud. The audience popped huge for him. And then he faced off with MJF and saying, MJF, you're always saying, I'm better than you, and you know it. Well, guess what? I'm the best there is, and next week I'm going to show you. Okay. That took all the heat that Pinnacle had throughout the entire show and made Sammy look like, an avenging angel. It was great for him. But now I argue MJF has to beat Sammy next week. Because otherwise, Pinnacle, once again, any small bit of forward movement that they have, any small bit of heat that they get, gets wiped away.
We've been saying this since they started feuding, that Pinnacle had to get a win. Pinnacle had to get a win, and Inner Circle's been winning pretty much ever since. Is this the time that MJF finally gets a win, or are we waiting until he gets a proper, like, there's stakes that aren't just like street cred before we actually, like, are we going to just down, pat him down until it's the win is actually significant? Because is MJF beating Sammy Guevara that significant? I would argue no.
Well, at this point, though, that's the problem. They've already beaten them in the Stadium Stampede match, and Sammy was the hero of that match. Right? And that was Sammy's redemption for calling the cage match that they had, the blood and guts match, right? That was Sammy. Sammy was the one who made the call to save Jericho. He threw the match to save Jericho. Then he was the one who saved them in the Stadium Stampede match and won the whole thing. Now we're splintering off into the individual feuds from that bigger feud, which I still say is, the cart coming before the horse. It should have been the other way around.
Should have waited on the Stadium Stampede, have all this happen throughout the year, and then got back to that as the blow-off.
Have all the individual components going off, and then all this hatred boils up into the faction war. But okay, they're doing it backwards.
We're probably still going to circle back around to that anyway.
They might end up doing that anyway. But here's the thing, we've been saying this the entire time, and this is actually a major problem in AEW as a whole, is you have to let the heels get enough heat. And they're not whether it's a Go-Go, QT Marshall, and all the factory, no heat. Whether it's Cody and Mr. Brody. Brody wins one match. Cody comes back and beats him. Oh, great. Cody in any feud. Doesn't let anyone get anything. Lance Archer, talking for 1 week, Cody beats him. Pff, and what's he been doing since? The only heel right now who has any kind of true, I would argue Ethan Page does too. Ethan Page is getting a lot of heat on himself. And he's doing a great job of it. We'll talk about him in a second.
Oh, Kenny, obviously.
Kenny
and Callis,
the Young Bucks, they're getting a lot of heat on themselves. They're doing a lot of that kind of stuff. And it needs to keep up for longer to make people really, really pissed at them.
Yeah.
But Miro is the only other one. And Miro's doing this wildly entertaining, like, fighter from
Might
God
be one of my favorite
thing.
things in wrestling right now, if I'm being completely honest.
It's so much fun. We'll talk about him later, too. But the Pinnacle needs to win more matches. They need to have these moments where they get over on Inner Circle more often, so that when Inner Circle or an Inner Circle member finally does beat them, it feels like a big deal.
Okay, riddle me this. I wonder, and this is speculative. Was the point to show that Inner Circle as a unit was stronger, and in order to show, are we going to have the Pinnacle win these little individual feuds in order to culminate once again back into the thing where Inner Circle can ultimately, as a group, as a unit, overpower the sum of the parts in a way?
I feel like that would be the best story, yes. I think they should do that. Will they? I don't know. It's
so
AEW.
FTR should beat down LAX. MJF should beat Sammy Guevara next week. Yeah,
yes.
I agree with that. We've already had Hager and Wardlow last week, and Hager won that. So,
and it doesn't have to be clean. And
no,
yes, Hager won. But Hager should have won that because
it needs to be interfered and all of that stuff. FTR is notorious, and MJF's notorious for that stuff with Wardlow.
But I didn't have a problem with Hager beating Wardlow last week because, as we talked about last week, Wardlow won the wrestling match. Hager just won the MMA match. They now have a rubber match coming at some point. So it's okay that he won that. I don't think that sheds as much of a light on the bigger picture here. And you can even have them trade wins. Maybe, Hager wins, but Sammy and PNP don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to call out something Sheppy just said in chat, because I think it's worth talking about.
Sure.
He said the Young Bucks seem so out of place right now. They seem like they want to be badasses, but they don't want any help or anything to do with the Good Brothers. And I feel like that. So what would go back and watch Kevin Kelly's breakdown that he did on the history of the Bullet Club, and if you watch close there, the Young Bucks were always the one that screwed over whoever the head of Bullet Club was. They've always been huge dicks like this.
Yeah.
So this is kind of their wheelhouse.
That's why Callis was saying, I need you guys to go back to being who you are in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? When you were in Japan, you guys were just the absolute dickheads. Right? You screwed over everybody. Go back to that. And they did. And now they're doing this whole showy.
Take the colored tassels off.
Peacocking, with the big,
he had
all
a
the
chain
little danglies
to
all
his
over.
hat from his earring.
What the hell was that? I love the peacocking Young Bucks. This is fun as hell to me. But I understand why a lot of people are also kind of put off by it as well. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of creative cohesion between the top members of the Elite. But that being said, I do like the peacocking Young Bucks.
Yeah.
So all the rest of AEW, let's rock through it. Hangman Page opened up the show with yet another killer match, this time against Powerhouse Hobbs. Team Taz was not at ringside, although Ricky Starks did come out later on in the match with the FTR Championship with the greatest wrestler in AEW, Hook, by his side. He tried to get interfered in the match. Hobbs was like, "What are you doing, man?" And then Cage came out, grabbed his title back, and walked off, tore the jacket off of Ricky Starks' back. Ricky Starks screaming about his neck. That was a weird scene. Hobbs turned back around. It was not a distraction finish, though, because Hobbs ended up putting an absolutely spectacular spine buster onto Hangman Page right after that. Looked like he had him beat. But Hangman ended up coming back, hitting him with the dead eye, and getting the win. 1, 2, 3. Relatively clean. Great match to start the show. Another great one for Hangman Page. And still no idea what's going on with Team Taz, but it's probably the most entertaining stuff they've done so far. So, cool. As we mentioned earlier, Ethan Page is still one of the best heat getters in AEW. He had a match with Bear Bronson. Ended up using Scorpio Sky as a distraction on Bear on the outside. Ref gets pulled. Ethan gives a gigantic low blow to Bronson, and then the Ego's Edge, 1, 2, 3. He wins, and then gets on the mic and says, "Darby, I am going to be the final nail in your coffin. I'm going to be the final nail in your coffin. Pinning you isn't enough. I need to end your career. I need to put you in a coffin. So let's have a coffin match." Oh. And the audience was loving this. They were all up.
Oh man, the history between Ethan Page and Darby Allin from Evolve.
They gonna go do a coffin match?
You put him in a coffin match?
They gonna do a coffin match now?
Put it in my freaking eye holes.
Put that in my eye holes. In each one of my eye holes. Yes, thank you.
That match is gonna be fire, y'all. Don't sleep on that match.
Killing it. We also saw Chris Statlander getting some action. She had a singles match against Bunny.
Really nice match.
Very nice. Very
Great
nice
to
match.
see
Nice
these
to
two
Chris
ladies
back in
finally
action.
getting some fire, some time in the ring. I know Chris lost almost a year being out injured. Bunny has kind of been running ringside with Butcher and Blade. I mean, don't sleep on Allie, guys. That girl can work. Chris can work. There's a reason she was one of the hottest prospects coming into Dynamite. Like, these two ladies could be at the top of the women's division, very, very soon.
Well, this felt to me like Allie, with her experience, 16 years of experience, going out there and making Chris look good. Because she did. She made Chris look like $1 million. Chris looked strong, competent, charismatic. Yeah, and the crowd, I'm pretty sure popped for OC, but it was still a big pop when she came out. Because Orange Cassidy was with her. Bunny tried to use the brass knucks that the Blade passed her in the middle of the match. Orange Cassidy took him, stuffed him in his trousers. After the match, unfortunately, the Hybrid 2, along with Butcher, came out, tag teamed up on him, punched him in the face with the brass knucks. That was all she wrote. That was the end of the segment. So looks like we'll be getting some more out of that. Trent just got neck surgery, so don't know how long until he'll be back.
Probably 6 weeks.
But
let that fusion heal up at least.
Yeah, imagine. That's not too long in wrestling time.
Right.
It's only 6 episodes. It's not bad. We had a cameo from Andrade El Idolo.
More of an interruption.
Came out. Yeah, we were supposed to have a match between Dante Martin and Matt Sydal. Dante Martin comes to the ring, and then out comes Vicky Guerrero, screaming at the top of her lungs to say, "Hey, here's Andrade. We have an announcement."
Yeah, I didn't miss that at all, by the way. She can stop doing that anytime.
That's
the point.
Why she doesn't.
I know.
And some heat. But then before they could have the announcement, they were interrupted by Matt Sydal's music. And Andrade looked like he was going to go for him, and Vicky's like, no, now is not the time. And then we went and had a sick match between Matt Sydal and Dante Martin. What were we saying earlier about Jungle Boy being 24? This son of a bitch is 20. He is as old, and they pointed this out in the match, he is as old as Matt Sydal has been in the wrestling business. Matt Sydal's been in the wrestling business as long as this kid's been alive, if not more. My Lord. And this kid is insane. He was keeping up with Matt Sydal. Like, Matt Sydal was feeding him a lot, but this kid was still keeping up with him. And some of the moves in this match, Nick, mother of God.
This might be one of the sleeper matches of the week.
I don't, not might.
Like,
totally.
This is one of those matches, like the main event of Raw and obviously the Omega Jungle Boy match and Dante Martin, Sydal.
And Ricochet and Morrison.
Like, if you're making a list of matches, to forget the shows and how you feel about the shows, these are must-watch matches for this week.
Yeah, and just below that, Hangman Page and Powerhouse Hobbs.
This was fire. This was a side of Dante Martin and Top Flight I hadn't quite seen it. We've seen Top Flight do some crazy high flyer shit together. This was the first time I had seen Dante in a singles match doing crazy double springboard poison ranas off the top. Like, I don't even know. Like, this is one of those, I have to go back and watch it again because of all of the specifics that went down in this match. Go watch Dante Martin versus Matt Sydal. It was fan-freaking-tastic.
Yep.
Daniel over in YouTube dropped a £5 super chat. What's up, man? Thank you very much. Said,
Hello,
hey,
Daniel,
guys, hope all is well. Raw was good by its low standards again. Dynamite was the best it's been since not being on Wednesday, just my opinion.
I would agree. The best one that they've had on a non-Wednesday night.
I concur with that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I want it back on Wednesdays. I want my life back to normal.
No kidding.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Kyle threw in 100 bits over here on Twitch. Said it may just be me, But I would love to have the announcement Andrade is that he's bringing in the former Aiden English to manage him. You have ties to the Guerrero family and Miro. There's so much you can do with that, more than you could do than running back Andrade Zelina.
Is his marriage to Shal Guerrero, is that kayfabe? I mean, I suppose you could just make it kayfabe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think it's more interesting to have him with Vicky and Nyla Rose.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to run back Aiden English and Miro. That was always a weird combo to me. And obviously it was over. It was great. That WWE never did anything with it. But it was always just a little bit odd. They were kind of an odd couple. And it never really
worked. You know, it wasn't supposed to work, but it did.
Yeah.
Rusev Day.
God. Those days of yore. Speaking of Miro,
remember the vaudevillains?
He says he's gonna.
Hey, they were decent.
Oh God, that was Jesus. Remember them versus Enzo and Cass?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, with Carmella and Blue Pants.
God.
Yeah, who's now in AEW? Wow. But so Miro had some words for Brian Pillman Jr., who he's going to see next week.
He basically
Mother
gave
of
the
God.
Running Man speech. Brian Pillman, you better
sitting
not
on-
show up next week, and I'll rip out your goddamn spine.
He was sitting on a chair backwards, holding a cross, like a chain out, and the cross is hanging over the back of his hand. He's saying, "I am the righteous one. I am the." What is he saying? I'm the
thanked God
messenger
for the
from God."
flexibility of Lana.
Yes, he did.
Nice
Yes, he
touch,
did.
Rusev.
Thank you.
Miro.
Thank you for giving me all of my strength and the flexibility of my wife. It's like, Jesus. You are the meat between the cleaver and the table. He was dropping lines with this speech. This was the Miro that was always supposed to be in AEW. A little dalliance with weird gamer Miro. And now we have World Ender, Warrior of God Miro, who thinks he's like God's chosen. Jesus Christ.
He's going
yes.
on the Crusades.
Parts
He's going to
apart.
take back the Holy Land.
Oh my God. It's what's brilliant. So here's the thing. One of the things that when you're doing promos, one of the things that makes promos really easy is if you have a very defined character that has a lot of interesting nuances and depths you can get into. So if you have a character like Miro has here, who truly believes that God has sent him to Earth to destroy his opponents, you've got promos for days based on that material. You can get so much creative material out of just that concept alone. And he is mining some deep depths with that whole, like, that's right, I'm God's chosen one. It's awesome. It's awesome. So good. And Brian Pillman had a nice fiery little promo back too. I can't wait for that match next week. Can't wait. We're also getting Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero versus Britt Baker and Rebel, not Reba, next week, which they had some promos back and forth. Good promos.
right.
Going to be a weird match. Going to be a weird match. And it's official. Nyla is getting her title shot at Fyter Fest on the 21st. So, cool.
I'm not sure.
Cool. Be interested to see how
I'm ready for
audiences
Nyla
react
Rose
to
to
that.
be back in the picture yet, if I'm being honest. I
I
don't feel
don't know
like
how the
she's
audience-
earned a title shot yet.
The audience is going to cheer the shit out of Britt Baker. And they're going to boo the hell out of Nyla. Which is as it should be, except Britt Baker is such a
Are we going to double turn this?
How? How are you? I mean,
Does Britt come out of this face? Maybe that's the point?
Britt being a dick is what's getting her over.
Yeah.
Like, don't have her stop doing that.
No, that's a good point.
Like, everyone loves that she's just a cocky, shit-talking heel who goes out there and can kick ass and will take the most horrendous, hideous bumps.
Yeah.
That's what people love about her. Have her keep doing that. She doesn't have to change a damn thing.
And we know
Bizarre.
Britt's will go to war. She's been busted wide open almost as many matches as she's had. What's going on with
But she's
Deeb
not-
and Thunder Rosa and the NWA women's title is kind of what I'm curious about on that side of the women's division.
On the back burner for now, it seems.
Ugh. Don't let it get too stale.
Well, Deeb ain't the champ anymore.
Oh, that's right. She dropped it to Camille.
Yeah. So NWA title picture's out of there.
That's interesting. Okay.
It's just a matter if we want to bring back in Thunder Rosa and Deeb when they're coming back, which they'll be around, I'm sure.
Well, there we go, guys. There's an update on AEW Dynamite. We're not out of here just yet, though. We've still got to head over and do what we like to call our moment of positivity.
The moment of positivity. That's right. It's the time on the show where we think back on the last few days of wrestling and try to come up with something that made us happy, that we can spread the love about. We can talk about it and hopefully make y'all happy as well and spread our joy to you through these here airwaves and electronic signals and onto Twitch and Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else. Nick, what was your moment of positivity for this week?
You know, most weeks I'm normally like, I can't really think of anything. This week there's like half a dozen of them.
There's just too many.
And
this is Raw.
Right.
There's a bunch of them on Raw. That's a good week.
I am absolutely loving. Okay, the one thing: Ricochet and John Morrison, Prince Puma and Johnny Mundo in the ring again, and all of the interactions with Ricochet and Miz and the dripstick and all of the stuff. Like, how do they not look at that backstage and go, "That's magic"? We're gonna take that and shoot it to the moon. I hope they don't squander that, because it's innate, it's built in. Those two guys with Miz ringside, it's absolute magic. So that's definitely mine. Ricochet's interactions with Miz and Morrison this week. What about you, Surrey and Dangerous?
Oof, I'm having a hard. I want to. I mean, just recency bias, just for the show. I'm still just so riding so high on Miro's new gimmick. Hard to top that one, but I've actually got to say, in more of a general sense, mine's more of a general mob, and that is that in the entire time I watched Raw, I cannot think of more than a couple of minutes that I was upset that I was watching it. And there's definitely been, like, over the last few weeks, quite a bit of Raw where I'm like, oh God, I'm not having fun watching.
And even you say upset, but it was more of like an eye roll rather than a table flipping.
I was actually that's like the worst case scenarios when I just don't care. But like, just upset that I'm watching the show. I was neither upset nor bored during this Raw. That in and of itself is my moment of positivity. The fact that
Raw didn't suck.
Serious. Right. I enjoyed watching it. I was entertained. There was a bunch of good matches. There was a bunch of good segments. There was some interesting character work. There was some good promos. Overall, Raw was very solid this week. I enjoyed watching it. I was entertained. I was not upset. And I feel very positively about that. It is, in fact, my moment of positivity. And there you go.
There you go. Guys, don't go anywhere. As soon as we do the outro here, we're gonna come back after a short break and do our weekly mailbag AMA show called the BWO Mailbag. But stick around. We're gonna take a 10-minute break. Throw the pause screen up, put some fun music up. You guys can hang out. Take a quick bio break. Come back and we'll do a bunch of questions from the listeners and fans. Well, we love doing that every single week. It's a good time. Some of it's about wrestling, some of it's not. Some of it's about video games and fandoms and all kinds of fun stuff. So don't miss out on it.
Some of it's about food,
yes. But linktree.com/BWO is the place you want to head over to. Like, share, subscribe, follow, do all those things that you guys know how to do in 2021. But the organic growth, it really helps. Thank you guys for all the sharing that you do, getting eyes and ears onto Busted Wide Open. We really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for that sincerely. Big shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support every single month. We really appreciate it. Quick little news bulletin. Due to scheduling conflicts, we'll leave it at that one. We're having to push the bonus episode out 1 week. We will get that. Nick's going to be on vacation next week. So there was a bit of a snafu this week that happened.
We know what we're doing for it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Another one of those.
Another one of the. Hang on. Wait, I have to put the
No, not one of those. Oh, God damn it.
It's going to involve interesting music.
Oh, God. We're not using this music.
Linktree.com/BWO
We're not
is
using
where
this.
you want to head to click
Christ.
and like all the things over there. All right, I'll turn it off. That's torturing you.
Thank you. You're killing me.
But guys, we're going to take a
Breaking into a
quick
cold sweat.
10-minute break. Actually, you know what? We'll call it quarter till. We'll be back at quarter till. But until then, my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at Data Center Dude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
My God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.